Exactly 2 years ago, I uploaded a video about why Flood Escape 2 isn't beginner friendly. Since then, it's been my most viewed video on this channel, and even more viewed than my most viewed video on my OG channel. The video has racked up over 28,000 views, 900 likes, and 200 comments. And despite all of that, I hate it. Now, I understand hate can be a strong word, so let's break it down. Firstly, if you don't remember me or you've literally never seen me in your life, hi, my name is Xander. I'm also known as Blazewing. I used to make FE2 content, and then I quit because the game really started to suck. I also made this video to address why newcomers struggle to stay committed to the game. The issue is that I don't like this video. You're probably asking, but why you not like this video? It's the perfect topic. Yeah, I know. I understand the topic must have been something that most players never deeply thought about, which must have been why it spiked really well, but it's less about the topic and more about the contents of the actual video. For one, the commentary was kind of corny and unprofessional, but also, why did I swear so much in that video? Now, I'm not some f***ing Christian white boy who doesn't f***ing swear today, but for some stupid ass reason, to be fair, I was probably being a complete dumbass. I feel like I was one of those corny teens when receiving the green light from their parents to use profanity. Luckily, I ain't no longer one of those f***ing kids. Why the f*** would I be saying that shit in every f***ing sentence? So what I want to do is reiterate important details from the video, add thoughts about the game different from before, and even look at some of the comments on that video. And I hope you enjoyed this video because this may be the last time I'll make a video on FE2 again. The first subtopic I discussed in the video was adding a tutorial to the game. When first trying a game, you need to have a grasp of controls and key features that are useful when playing the game. For Flood Escape 2, that includes wall jumps, sliding, zip lines, air bubbles, quick climbing, and air diving. The issue is, how do you expect a newcomer to quickly know all that without external support, especially quick climbing and air diving? Not to mention how players start with auto slide and might not even realize you can manually change it in settings. Now I understand it takes trial and error to get good at most things, and especially if you want to get good at beating crazy maps, you'll have to go through a bit of that as well, but the important thing about being hooked in a game is impression. If you get the impression that a game is too hard or confusing, you're more likely to quit the game real early on, especially depending on your attention span. All of this can be fixed if only Flood Escape 2 had some use of a tutorial to help players get familiar with the controls of the game. In my opinion, there isn't really a correct way to implement a tutorial. You can honestly pick your battles between a GUI handbook or a separate game mode. Speaking of game modes, that brings us to our second subtopic. Flood Escape 2 has currently 4 game modes: Normal, Retro, Pro, and FE2 CM. What I mainly want to talk about is the differences between Normal and Pro. In normal servers, there are 4 difficulties: Easy, Normal, Hard, and Insane. After a cycle of 12 maps, something called an intensity reset forces the difficulty to reset to Easy. This was implemented to make the game somewhat beginner friendly after the removal of chill servers, which I will discuss in a minute. Not only is this kind of annoying for new players, specifically trying to beat insane maps, but players can also easily boost multiple times until the server gets back to insane if they really want to, so it's kind of a lose-lose situation for both types of players. Pro servers, on the other hand, have the following requirements: complete every insane map and have an account 7 days or older. That's literally it. When I first started playing, one of the requirements was level 50 or higher. Eventually though, it dropped to only 20 or higher, which, okay. But now they've completely removed the level requirements and just said, oh, you've beaten all insane maps? Here's a game mode for crazy and crazy plus maps. Yeah, that's the result for pro servers. Now, of course, after you master one difficulty, it makes sense to advance to the next one, right? But here's the issue. Crazy maps are designed to be challenging, but also fun once you can get used to the map. Crazy Plus maps, however, are something of a different ballgame. So introducing Crazy at the same time as Crazy Plus being present makes things even more annoying than they already are. Imagine this. You finally beat Darkside Facility, making it the last badge to unlock pro servers, and you go, finally, I can try Blue Moon. People seem to really love that map. But you join the game and are instantly greeted with Central Mass Array, and you're like, what the f*** is this? You're probably wondering why the game just doesn't have 3 different game modes, one for beginners, one for immediate players, and one for advanced players. Well, it's funny you should ask. You see, the game used to have chill mode, which was specifically designed for new players with the following cycle: Easy, Normal, Hard, back to Easy, so on and so forth. No boosting, no reset, just a casual cycle. Perfect for new players, right? Then in the version 60 update, chill servers along with chaos servers were removed, but like, why? What was the point in removing chill servers apart from using other inefficient beginner-friendly methods? My views on the solution were a little broad 2 years ago, so here's a fresh 2026 version of it. The easiest game mode should be something like chill servers, which cycle through easy, normal, and hard with no boosting whatsoever. The second game mode should be normal servers, where they introduce insane. The third one should be pro servers, in which they introduce crazy. Finally, there should be a fourth game mode reserved for crazy plus. But at this point, I'm just just throwing my hat in the ring. The important thing is I'm looking for a better balance of game modes than what we currently have. The final subtopic I addressed in the older video was the issue with older maps, and my perspective has changed a little bit. I still think that older maps, no matter how iconic they are, do have their own flaws that'll throw new players off, like weird pacing, no indication, common skips, and safe spots. But after coming back to the game, I realized something. Flood Escape 2 is just a really complex obby game entirely. This isn't some Weenie Hut Jr. Tower of Hell obby. This game has its own mechanics, long jumps, wraparounds, and could go at the pace of a demon in Geometry Dash. God damn it! If we take a look at a recent map like Antiquated Railways, we can see that it is a very spacious map with lots of detailing. While an experienced player like me would enjoy these features, I would argue that this would confuse new players. For instance, not many platformer games have this much detailing, so players will be caught off guard by it, perhaps even find it messy. And when you have a spacious map for multiple areas for specific needs, it makes the gameplay feel scattered. Some people might be going for the button, others might be waiting for a door to open up, and a few might even be swimming in a body of water trying to get back up. It feels chaotic for what exactly a new player should do. You might think that it simply takes trial and error from here, perhaps even looking up videos for certain maps, which is a fair assumption. But is there still a possible way to make maps even more beginner friendly? Well, I might have an idea. In Flood Escape 2, when you see signs and arrows implemented in a map, we call that indication. Indication is designed to guide players to buttons, doors, etc. Similarly, signs you see when driving on the road guide you in some way, like stop signs, speed limits, construction signs, reservations, and more. The road signs you see are regulated by the state, meaning they must follow specific shapes, sizes, symbols, text, and other details set by state laws. Now, imagine that, but in Flood Escape 2. What if the dev team came together with a model of regulated distinct signs so that they're easy to read for specific tasks and directions in Flood Escape 2 maps? Now, I understand it's quite a complex idea and map makers may not even regard the signs anyway, but it's still a creative idea in my opinion. If you have any other ideas to fix this, feel free to drop them in the comments. Speaking of comments, why don't we take a look at what some of the commenters said on the older video? I had a pinned comment on the video sent by fellow friend and content creator Just Ducky. He said, when Crazy Blocks removed chill mode, he did this really strange thing with normal mode that, for lack of a better way of describing it, tried to merge the two game modes together. He then went on about the features that tried to make normal mode more beginner friendly, and how having 3 separate game modes worked better in theory. I do agree with that take, because having specific features for beginners is pretty complex when you take into account that separate game modes can work just fine if they're balanced properly. Like, and I'm gonna keep saying this as long as I still think about the game, there was no reason for chill mode to be removed. I think it was good for new players as it was. Some people argued that the placement for it and other game modes wasn't very good, but at the same time, depending on the level, players would get a notification every time they booted up FE2 asking if they wanted to join chill servers. Even if that was an issue, then the game just needs a tutorial or a guide, as I said earlier, to show new players where to go for GUI features. Reconsider said, one thing a lot of people fail to realize is how utterly confusing buttons can be. You are pointed towards these glowing objects with a literal bright green light, but they never have any indication on what they do. This means a lot of new players end up dying confused as they don't know where to go after a button press. The user also complains about the button delay on easies and normals, which I can understand can be confusing as well. Buttons themselves don't seem too bad. Buttons have been around since FE Classic, and it just takes remembering the colors on a solo button, group button, activated button, and unavailable button. But the indication, I understand, may be even more confusing, which is why maps generally need to have clear signs that signal what the button does and where you have to go after pressing it. Toastychu said, genuinely going from only insane straight to crazy plus is insane. They need to make a middle ground game mode that only goes up to crazy. Playing pro servers as a fairly new person is genuinely insufferable because crazy plus maps are just unsight readable along with insta-killing you if you make one mistake. This was exactly what I said earlier. I noticed pro servers have less good players due to more experienced players gradually quitting the game, but even if there are a good amount of experienced players wanting to play Crazy Plus, then it would still be overwhelming for new pro players who just want to explore Crazy but then have to face Crazy Plus. Steam Powered Dolphin said, my take is that Flood Escape 2 should have any or all of the following. A practice mode that allows you to pick a singular map and play it as many times in a row as you wish, like community maps but in the official game, a solo mode that can be accessed without having to pay several hundred Robux per month, and chill mode separated from the base game and made into its own game mode once more. No idea if there's a reason for why private servers are 200 Robux, but I would much prefer them to be free for the sake of new players making said private servers designed for practice. Overall, these are a few good ideas. Manic said, I actually think the issue lies more in the newer maps. When Crazy Blocks added all the highlights as mainstays, it immediately threw quality control out the window. Before this, the maps added permanently had to be near perfect, especially with directions and sight reading. So many of the newer maps are over detailed to the point where the directions are confusing to new players, and it feels like you've just died because of bad level design, not by any faults of your own. This kind of leans into another topic of FE2 being oversaturated, but I can very well see it being an issue for new players as well. The main problem is the fact that Flood Escape 2 already allowed these highlights to come back, so even if things were better before, it would be hard to revert things before the Here to Stay update. And that's because some map makers with highlighted maps that became permanent might see it as unfair. It's kind of a lose-lose situation that makes people believe the game is beyond dead and that nothing can be done about it. There are a lot of comments on that video that I didn't want to go through because I'm a lazy piece of shit. But if you made a good point in my older video or you want to make a new one, feel free to drop it in the comments and I'll be looking through new comments with an open mind. At the end of the day, Flood Escape 2 has given me great memories overall, which is why I find it sad to see this game fall apart. That being said, don't expect me to make more and more FE2 content. You might as well unsubscribe if that's all you're hoping for, cause it might even hurt my channel in the algorithm with all these subscribers but no views. However, I've been uploading long form videos of my friends and me playing random games and having a good laugh out of it, so if you're interested, I have 3 new videos up on my channel. The least you can do is tune in and give them a watch. Then you can decide if you actually want to stick around for my channel or not. On that note, thanks for watching and I'll see you guys next time.